Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, I'm here again with a brand new story. Enjoy the story, and don't forget to share your valuable thoughts in the comments.
They said the desert keeps its secrets buried, not in sand, but in silence. Not every story from the past was meant to be told. Some were erased, some were hidden, and some were deliberately forgotten. But in 1940, deep within the heart of Africa, something happened that refused to stay buried. The year was 1940. War had already begun to consume much of the world, but far from the chaos of Europe, in a remote and largely unmapped region of North Africa, a small British survey team was dispatched on what was supposed to be a routine geological expedition. Their mission was simple: map mineral deposits, chart terrain, and return with data. Nothing more. The team consisted of 5 men: Captain Edward Hale, the leader, a disciplined military officer with a reputation for rational thinking; Dr. Samuel Whitaker, a geologist fascinated by ancient rock formations; Thomas Reed, a radio operator; Michael Carter, a young cartographer; and Ibrahim Dalu, their local guide, a man who knew the land better than anyone. From the very beginning, Ibrahim had warned them. "There are places in this desert," he said quietly one evening as they prepared their equipment, "where the ground remembers things people should not." Captain Hale dismissed it as superstition. They all did, at least at first. The journey began without incident. Days passed under a relentless sun. Endless dunes stretched in every direction. The only sounds were the wind and the crunch of boots against sand. But on the 6th day, something changed. Michael Carter was the first to notice it. "Sir, these formations, they don't look natural." Ahead of them, rising from the desert floor, were massive black stone structures, jagged, uneven, almost like broken pillars. Dr. Whitaker approached them with excitement. "Basalt, perhaps, but this far out? Impossible!" The stones were smooth in some areas, rough in others, but what truly disturbed them were markings, symbols, carved deep into the surface. Not random scratches, not erosion, intentional, ancient. That night, something else happened. The radio stopped working. Thomas Reed spent hours trying to fix it. No signal, nothing. It's like we're cut off. Captain Hale remained calm. "We proceed as planned. We log the site and return." But Ibrahim was uneasy. He refused to sleep near the stones. Instead, he sat awake, staring into the darkness, watching, listening. On the 7th day, they found the entrance. Half buried beneath sand, hidden between the black stone pillars, was a narrow opening, a doorway, man-made, or at least shaped. Inside, the air was colder, too cold for a desert. Their footsteps echoed as they descended into the darkness. The walls were covered in the same symbols, but now they could see them clearly. Spirals, figures, patterns that seemed to move if you stared too long. Dr. Whitaker began sketching them immediately. "These could rewrite history. We've never seen anything like this." But Ibrahim refused to enter. He stood at the entrance, shaking his head. "This place is wrong." Deeper inside, they found a chamber, circular, perfectly carved, and at its center, a structure. Not quite an object, not quite a machine, something in between. It was made of the same black stone, but smoother, almost polished, and it was humming, a low, constant vibration that they could feel in their bones. "Do you hear that?" Carter whispered. Captain Hale stepped closer. Probably geothermal activity, but even he didn't sound convinced. Then the temperature dropped. Suddenly, their breath became visible, the humming grew louder, and the symbols on the walls, they began to glow. Faintly at first, then brighter. Thomas Reed stumbled backward. "This isn't natural. This isn't possible." Dr. Whitaker, however, was mesmerized. This is beyond anything we understand." That was the moment everything went wrong. A sound echoed through the chamber, not from the walls, not from the structure, from behind them. Footsteps, but there was no one there. They turned, nothing. Silence. Then again, footsteps, closer. Michael Carter panicked. "We need to leave now." Captain Hale hesitated, but only for a second. "Everyone out." They turned to leave, but the tunnel, it wasn't the same. The path had changed. The walls looked different. The symbols were shifting, moving, like they were alive. Thomas Reed dropped his equipment. "I swear, that wasn't there before." The exit was gone, or at least not where it should be. The chamber felt smaller, the air heavier, and the humming, it was inside their heads now. Hours passed, or maybe minutes. Time no longer made sense. Dr. Whitaker continued writing, scribbling notes frantically. They knew, whoever built this, they understood something we don't understand. Captain Hale tried to maintain order. "We stay together, we find another way out." But the walls kept changing, the symbols kept shifting, and the footsteps, they never stopped. Then Ibrahim screamed. From outside, a distant, echoing cry. They rushed toward the sound, and suddenly, the tunnel opened. Blinding sunlight flooded in. They stumbled out into the desert, gasping, shaking, alive. But something was wrong, very wrong. Ibrahim was nowhere to be seen. Instead, standing a short distance away was someone else. A man, wearing their uniform, but none of them recognized him. "Who are you?" Captain Hale demanded. The man looked at them, confused. "I was going to ask you the same thing." His voice was familiar, too familiar. Thomas Reed stepped forward slowly. That's impossible. The man standing before them was Thomas Reed. Same face, same voice, same everything. But the real Thomas Reed was standing right beside them. Panic erupted. "What is this? What's happening?" The second Reed shook his head. "I've been out here for days. I thought I was the only one left." "Left from what?" Captain Hale asked. He hesitated. "From the expedition." Silence fell. Captain Hale's voice turned cold. "What expedition?" The man stared at them. "The one we came here for, 2 weeks ago." 2 weeks? They had only been there for 7 days. Dr. Whitaker flipped through his notebook. Dates didn't match. Entries were missing or duplicated. Time had fractured. Then the second Reed spoke again. "You went inside, didn't you?" No one answered, but he already knew. "It doesn't let you leave," he whispered. "Not really." Before anyone could respond, the ground trembled. The black stone structures began to vibrate. The humming returned, louder than ever. And from the entrance, something emerged. Not a person, not an animal, a shape, shifting, distorted, like reality itself was breaking. Captain Hale shouted, "Run!" They didn't hesitate. They ran across the desert, not looking back, not stopping. Only 3 of them made it out: Captain Hale, Michael Carter, and Dr. Whitaker. Thomas Reed, both of them, were gone, and Ibrahim was never found. Months later, the official report was filed: mission failure due to environmental hazards. No mention of the structure, no mention of the symbols, no mention of what they saw. Dr. Whitaker's notes were confiscated, but one page survived, hidden, smuggled out. It contained a single sentence written over and over again in increasingly erratic handwriting. "We were not the first." Years later, satellite imaging of the region showed nothing. No black stones, no entrance, just endless desert. But sometimes, travelers in that area report strange things. Radios failing, footsteps in empty spaces, and symbols carved into stones that weren't there before. As for Captain Hale, he never spoke about the expedition again. But near the end of his life, he told a nurse something strange. "They didn't copy us," he whispered. "They replaced us." And then he died. So the question remains, if something in that desert can duplicate people, can alter time, can erase itself from existence, how many have already been replaced? And how would we ever know? But the desert wasn't finished with them. Not yet. The official story ended there. 3 survivors, 1 failed mission, a forgotten report buried beneath wartime paperwork. But that wasn't the truth. Not even close. Weeks after their return to Cairo, something began to change. At first, it was subtle. Captain Edward Hale noticed it in the mirrors. Not clearly, not directly, just moments. Reflections that didn't quite match his movements. Expressions that lingered a second too long, or changed before he did. He dismissed it. Fatigue, he told himself. Stress. War had a way of distorting the mind. But then it happened again and again. One night, while washing his hands, he looked up, and his reflection was already staring at him, smiling, before his own face had even moved. Hale stumbled back. The mirror returned to normal, but his heart didn't. Meanwhile, Dr. Samuel Whitaker had become obsessed, not with fear, with understanding. He spent every waking hour reviewing what little he had left, fragments of notes, sketches he had tried to desperately recreate from memory. But there was a problem. The symbols wouldn't stay the same. He would draw them one way, look away, and when he looked back, they had changed, subtly, but undeniably. "It's not a language," he muttered one night. "It's something else, something alive." Michael Carter, the youngest of the 3, suffered the worst. Sleep became impossible. Every time he closed his eyes, he was back inside the chamber, hearing the humming, seeing the walls shift, and the footsteps, always behind him, always getting closer. But the most disturbing part wasn't the dreams. It was what happened when he woke up. Footprints. In his room. In the dust. Leading from the door to his bed and stopping there. Carter began locking his doors, closing his windows, checking every corner before sleeping. It didn't matter. The footprints kept appearing, as if something was visiting him night after night. 3 men survived the desert, but none of them truly escaped it. Then came the first disappearance. Dr. Whitaker, gone, without a trace. His apartment was found in perfect condition, notes scattered everywhere, walls covered with symbols, dozens of pages filled with frantic writing, but no sign of him. No struggle, no forced entry. Just one final message, written across the largest wall, in uneven, desperate strokes. They're learning. Captain Hale was the one who found it, and for the first time, he felt something he hadn't allowed himself to feel in years. Fear. Because deep down, he understood what Whitaker meant. This wasn't just something they had discovered. Something had discovered them. That night, Hale made a decision. He returned to the one place he had sworn never to go back to, the desert. Against orders, against reason, against everything. He needed answers. Michael Carter refused at first. "You don't go back to something like that," he said. "You run from it." Hale looked at him, his expression hollow. "It's not something we can run from." After a long silence, Carter agreed. They gathered supplies, minimal equipment, no official documentation, no backup. Just 2 men returning to a place that shouldn't exist. The journey felt different this time. The desert was quieter, heavier, as if it was waiting. Days passed, and then they found it. The black stone structures, exactly where they had been before, untouched, unchanged. But that wasn't possible. Satellite images had shown nothing, no structures, no anomalies, just sand. Carter's voice trembled. It wasn't gone. Hale finished the thought. It was hidden. The entrance was there, open, waiting. This time, there was no hesitation. They stepped inside. The air was colder than before, the walls darker, the symbols brighter, and the humming. It started the moment they entered. "This place remembers us," Carter whispered. They moved deeper, faster this time, as if guided by something unseen. The chamber appeared sooner than expected, but it wasn't the same. The structure at the center had changed. It was larger, more defined, less like stone, more like something constructed, something evolving. And around it, figures, human shapes, standing still, facing the structure. Carter froze. No. Hale stepped closer, slowly, carefully. The figures didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't react. Until he saw their faces. His blood ran cold. Dr. Whitaker, Thomas Reed, Ibrahim Delou, all of them, standing there, perfectly still, eyes open, unblinking. "They're alive," Carter whispered. "No," Hale said quietly. "They're not." Then the humming stopped. Silence filled the chamber, heavy, oppressive, and the figures moved. Not naturally, not smoothly, like puppets being pulled by invisible strings. Their heads turned, slowly, in perfect unison, toward Hale, and then they spoke, not individually, together. "You came back." The voice wasn't human. It wasn't even multiple voices. It was something else, something layered. Carter stepped back, shaking. "What do you want?" The figures tilted their heads, as if processing the question. "To understand," they replied. Hale clenched his fists. Understand what? A pause, a long one. Then, you. The ground trembled, the structure pulsed, and suddenly memories flooded Hale's mind. Not his own. Fragments, images, voices, other teams, other people, other times. All of them entering this place, all of them disappearing. "We are learning," the voice said again. Carter screamed, "Stop!" But it didn't stop. The images became clearer, more detailed. Copies, replacements, iterations, each one more accurate than the last. Hale fell to his knees. "They're studying us!" The figures stepped closer, in sync. "Not just studying," they said. "We are becoming." And in that moment, Hale understood. This wasn't a ruin, not a machine, not even a place. It was something else entirely. A system, an intelligence, something that observed, copied, and replaced, slowly, carefully, perfectly. Carter grabbed Hale. "We have to go, now!" But the exit, it was gone again. The walls shifted, the symbols burned brighter, and the figures, they were closer now, too close. "You cannot leave," the voice said calmly. "Not as you are." Hale looked up, straight at them, and for the first time, he didn't look afraid. He looked resolved. "If we don't leave, then neither do you." Before Carter could react, Hale pulled a grenade from his pack. The figures froze. For the first time, they hesitated. "You would destroy this place?" the voice asked. Hale's grip tightened. "If it means stopping you." A pause. Then, something unexpected happened. The figures stepped back, and the wall behind them opened. A path, the exit. "Leave," the voice said. Hale didn't hesitate. He grabbed Hale and ran. They didn't stop, not once, until they were back in the open desert, breathing, alive. But when Carter turned to speak, Hale was gone. No footprints, no sign, nothing, just gone. Carter searched for hours, days, but he never found him. He was the last survivor. Years later, Carter would tell his story, but no one believed him. They called it trauma, delusion, war-induced paranoia. But before he died, he said something that no one could explain. "They let me leave because I was already replaced." And somewhere, deep beneath the desert, the system continues, watching, learning, becoming, waiting.